welcome to Final Whistle Weekly. It's the three wise men, me, Melchizedor, or Neil as he's known, and I've forgotten all the other names of the, I think Melchizedor's wrong as well, isn't it? Chay, he's wise too. Hello, gentlemen. Who's got the myrrh and who's brought the Frankenstein?
I've got the Frankenstein. Chay can have the myrrh.
Fair enough.
I'll bring the myrrh, yeah. Definitely.
Good old Ollie. And that leaves me with Gold Omotayo. Well, yes, we've got plenty to talk about, haven't we? We've got 3 games to pick the bones out of, so let's get going. 4 points out of 6 for the men's team, 0-0 at home to Bolton, and then 1-0 at Huddersfield. Happy?
Yeah, more than happy, Mark.
Yeah, very, very, very happy, Mark. I think if we start off with the Bolton game, I think we'll be disappointed in some regard. Disappointed we didn't come away with 3 points, but that's a Bolton side in really, really good form who are pushing for the playoffs. You know, they're going to be a side that will be tricky to play in the playoffs. That's some really quality players. I think the points shared was probably fair. I think we were maybe the slightly better side in parts, but Neil, 0-0 home. At home, it's kind of doesn't break the duck. It doesn't kind of change our home form at this moment in time, but it smooths things off quite nicely as it runs into the Rotherham game. Yeah,
definitely so, Chay. I mean, it was entertaining 0-0 draw at that. I mean, you know, there were chances at both ends. There were 2 good teams on the pitch, and you know, you never got bored of that game. And I was expecting one of the teams to score, and plenty of chances created, but none put in the back of the net. So, yeah, I was more than happy with that. And Mark, I spoke to you about half time, didn't I? And how good and entertaining first half it was.
Yeah, for me, the most revealing thing is the Bolton reaction, because their staff afterwards, their manager and their fans were all thrilled to avoid defeat against us. And I think that said an awful lot. You know, we asked a lot of them. We were the team, I think, who, well, okay, to be fair, they did have a couple of big moments, didn't they, to say by Arthur when they hit the bar. But we actually looked consistent at the team that were more likely to score, didn't we? And yeah, ultimately, I think they were delighted to get away with a clean sheet and a point. And of course, you look what they did on Wednesday to Birmingham, and you can see just what a good result it was for us.
Yeah, that result's really aged well, isn't it? To be fair, and the home result against them, the return fixture at the start of the season. I think Bolton are one of those sides that a lot of people like us and Wickham, who've had such consistent and good seasons, are really going to want to avoid in the playoffs if one of us have to. Well, either one of us or Wickham are going to have to play a team like that, and they're in really good form. Yeah, I was delighted. So, what would you say was the main talking point of the game then, Mark? For you, what going into the Huddersfield game, what were you most happy about with the Bolton game? What were you a bit disappointed with?
What was I most happy with? Oh gosh, I'll have to think now. I'm trying to remember what the game was. I thought that Revan and Longman continuing where they left off was really good. I was really pleased about that because they'd done very well at Mansfield, hadn't they? And I think that they showed real width. And don't you think it's incredible to think that, you know, Barnett and McLean suddenly aren't in the team, and yet we still look extremely dangerous out wide. So I was really, that's one thing I thought was very pleasing.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Mark. I think Longman had a superb game against Bolton. I thought he really came into his own, and it was his best game I think he's played for us. I was really surprised that, you know, Parky decided to take him off halfway through the second half, and I thought a threat then down the wing was basically negated. I know Barney came on, but I thought Longman did a far better job against their defence than Barnett did. So I was he's voted man of the match by the fans, and I thought he was superb, and very surprised he was taken off.
But remember,
A lot of
Parky used to
people.
do this all the time, didn't he? He'd always be given one wing back 70 minutes because he asked so much of them. And I don't know, I think that, we had another game on Tuesday. It's really relentless right now. And I think just giving Peel a bit of a break. I mean, let's be honest, Barnett's a good player. And, on paper, the thought of bringing him on against a tiring fullback is a very attractive one, isn't it? And it maybe didn't work out on this occasion, but I could see the logic behind it.
I thought Longman started to look a little bit tired towards the end as well, maybe. And with another huge game against Huddersfield on Tuesday, I think it was the right thing to do, and I could see why some of the fans were really frustrated. I think some of the reaction, especially from the Stoke Club Brew Coffee stand, was a bit over the top. But when you've got Ryan Barnett, who's had the amount of assists and been so pivotal for us coming off on the bench, I don't think there's much to complain about. And Revan, I would really like to talk about as well, because as a lot of fans wrote him off from the few appearances he's played, but the last few games, Mansfield, Huddersfield and Bolton, really, really impressed with him. He's really come into his own, and I think it's good for McLean as well, because McLean is as fit as he is. He's an aging player. He's going to need rest and rotation as well. So I think Revan coming to his own certainly takes the pressure off McLean as well if he makes a start again.
And he's had an injury, McLean, as well. For that as well, I think we want him to be firing on all cylinders in the running, and so it's brilliant that Revan's come in. And like you say, you're dead right. I mean, I'm not moaning at Wrexham fans here. I'm just football fans in general. Always respond to the last thing that happened, and there's a number of the current squad who've been written off, and then all of a sudden everybody thinks they're wonderful again. So it's Revan adds himself to that list, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a beauty of our squad, isn't it? No matter who you take off and bring on, you still got the same quality. And this is a time that Revan and Longman can prove their worth and show how good they are as a player. And always been in mind then for Parker thinking, they've had good games. So it shows the in-depth of squad. And then we go to talking about Barnett coming, not playing the last couple of games, and then being brought on against Bolton on Saturday. And then the same thing happened on on Tuesday night at Huddersfield, and it worked because he put the cross in for the header for Smith, which was putting over the line, wasn't it?
Rathbone.
Was it Rathbone? Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, it was Rathbone. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We may as well jump onto the Huddersfield game now. Thinking about I was lucky enough to get a ticket. And it felt like a big game, getting on the coach for Tuesday night, the amount of, fans we taken under the lights, beautiful stadium, Huddersfield, and pre-game, Mark, you were there, obviously the atmosphere was brilliant, wasn't it? You've got to say a lot of credit to both sets of fans. And I think the way the stadium layout, it really generates a really good atmosphere.
Yeah, and who designed that stadium?
Ain't they the guys that did are going to do our cop? So
yeah, that's right, Populous.
Yeah.
So we're laughing there, aren't we?
yeah. As long as they get the acoustics like they did in the Huddersfield stand, it was deafening loud by both sets of fans.
And they're fully aware that the noise is one of their main priorities, so that's exciting. It's a lovely ground. It hasn't aged, has it? Like, some grounds around that era, they're looking a bit tired and tatty now. That one's still fantastic, isn't it? With the orange segment stands. It's great. Those bendy things to hold them up are called banana trusses, apparently. Related to the Prime Minister of a couple of years ago, I'm told. Or something.
But, I really did like the ground. It's unique looking, especially stadiums of that era. A lot of them are built like fish bowls and soulless. There is actually a lot of character to that stadium. So, if we can get anything as half as good as that. I'm really looking forward to what the cop's going to look like.
I,
But
I was a
yeah,
bit. Oh, sorry, go on.
go on, you carry on.
I was a bit alarmed that once again a canine mascot seemed to pick me out, just like that Port Vale. Well, let's call him what he is, coward. Um, we were supposed to have a punch up, and then he bottled it. And before the match, their mascot, who was a terrier, of course, because they are the terriers, he looked a lot more like the sort of dog you don't want to get into physical confrontation with. And he was waving to me. I know he was waving to me because I was the only person in the stand. And I don't know what's going on. That these dog mascots, they're after me. There's something I don't know. So that was weird to have that happen again. What's the next team who have a dog? Wickham are chair boys, aren't they? Because they make chairs in Wickham. So I'm going to get attacked by a three-piece suite, am I, then, when we go down there?
I don't think
No, I've got Reading first, Mark, and I don't know what are they? They're
the Royals for Prince
Royals,
Charles.
yeah. Charles will be there with you, yeah.
Yeah.
Off with his head.
That was number 1, not number 3, though, wasn't it? At the moment. Happy days. Rotherham are millers, aren't they?
The Millet, yeah.
So I'm not too scared about that. People who make flour are notoriously peaceful.
Oh, we'll soon see. We'll soon see.
So, going back to the Huddersfield game, guys, you both were there. What was your take on the game itself and how it panned out?
We deserved to win, didn't we, Chay?
Yeah, it was an odd game because you can tell the first goal was going to be huge because we're struggling to create clear-cut chances, and Huddersfield are definitely struggling to create any clear-cut chances. They haven't scored at home this whole calendar year so far, and it's quite evident to see because, to be fair, they look like a good side. They obviously are meant to be where they are for a reason. They just can't put the ball into the back of the net. But for me, it was a bit of an odd one because I was quite enjoying the atmosphere, and when you're in the crowd, it's a little bit different in an away day. But for you two who were watching it, I like really analysing it. It wasn't the most exciting of games, was it? Or what's your take, Dino?
I would agree with you. It wasn't the most exciting of games, for a 1-0, and Huddersfield, you can see they struggled in front of goal, like exactly like we were. When you think, I don't think they've scored at home since Boxing Day. It was the last time they scored at home, and their fans are unhappy. But they did have a goal disallowed. They did score first, and they had a goal disallowed for offside. So yeah, they're really struggling at home a bit, like we are a little bit at the moment. But it's only been 2 or 3 games for us. But they've had a long spell, and they had a good win away, I think, last weekend, didn't they?
Stevenage.
So yeah, hence they're still on our tails, together with Stockport. But that win was so important, wasn't it, Mark, on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of injuries. I'm amazed they can have such a bad run of results and still be in the playoff zone. You'd think they'd drop out, which puts our results into a bit better context. People have been getting a bit edgy about us, but we're like I said, if you drop points like Huddersfield do, you still stay in the playoffs, and we're doing much better than they've been doing lately. I felt a bit sorry. Ex-Wrexham keeper Mark Cartwright is their sporting director, and his right-hand man is ex-Wrexham striker Jake Edwards. And between the two of them, they're getting a fair bit of stick now, and I feel sorry for them because, like I said, they've got a lot of players out injured. But the thing that struck me about their I thought they looked good early on coming forwards until they got to the edge of the box. So the first 20 minutes, I was a little concerned. I was thinking, okay, these guys are really coming at us. They're quick. I thought that Chay, the lad who played off the strikers, was really good finding space. And then they would work these really quick rotations. And I thought, okay, these are tasty. But they didn't really do much in our penalty area. I don't recall the Conquo making the save. The offside goal is offside, so, like ours. So after they'd sort of run out of steam. And I think Josh Koroma going off was a big deal for them as well, because he's a good player and he's quick. And him going off was an issue because they bring in Aaron Collins, who of course is having a nightmare since he's gone there from Bolton. And from that moment on, I thought there was only going to be one winner because we looked in control. We started getting at them better. And I thought it was really telling at the end when they were trying to. Well, I remember, oh gosh, they played someone, Mansfield. Was it Mansfield? And I was
They
reading.
win 3-2.
I'm sorry?
And they won 3-2, wasn't it?
There was a game, I thought it was Huddersfield, maybe it wasn't, who were needing a late goal and didn't get it. And they were, I was reading like from the other side's perspective, they were saying, oh, they just couldn't, well, both sides, both sides' perspective, saying they couldn't get themselves going in the latter stages. And this was the same. They were trying to get up momentum to put us under pressure. They weren't really doing it. And I thought most tellingly, the crowd felt like they'd given up on them by then. You know, like I said, they haven't scored at home. They haven't had a point at home or in the calendar year, and there was quite a flat feeling considering that they were trying to bombard us. And even when the keeper is going up into the box, they still weren't getting excited. I think it felt more like the crowd had a sense of resignation of, oh God, it's happening again. And they were right.
Yeah.
So I felt quite comfortable, really, if I'm honest. Although I think there were at least two reasons to disallow our goal, to be honest.
Yeah, I
the
don't
foul
think
beforehand.
So again, that was
yeah,
right.
it was the foul.
Yeah, definite foul.
One was the foul beforehand.
Yeah,
And Fletcher was definitely offside.
I thought so. I mean, I got to be honest. I've got the footage and I've gone through it frame by frame from the different angles. And to be fair to the linesman, it's quite difficult to see who's touching what where. Been to a few parties like that. But but nonetheless, I mean, Fletcher has got to be offside. He's got to be, not least as best as I can tell when the ball last hits Smith, he has a foot over the goal line, and the last defender Sorensen, his foot's on the goal line, but also the goalkeeper's not goal side of him either. So he's got to be offside. And as for the foul by James, I mean, the referee was given too many fouls anyway. I thought there was he was given so many free kicks for physical contact that you thought, is that a foul? So, okay, he set that standard, and then he completely ignores it. And Matty James body slams a guy on the halfway line. And you look at it on TV, I thought at the time, I thought, well, that's a foul. Looking at it on the replay, it's worse than I thought. He's just run away from the ball, smacked into him, and then turned around and passed the Rathbone. Excellent referee.
I've got to say that I thought the referee was very strange. He was given a lot of slight contact, wasn't he? He was quite whistle happy, and you've got to say, which is quite strange for an ex-player himself, which is the big argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, ex-players should be a part of the refereeing system. Well, being an ex-player doesn't always mean you're a good ref. And I also thought the 7 minutes was a bit ludicrous as well of added time.
I felt feeling that was linked to him knowing he'd made a mistake with our goal. Like, I'll add a couple of extra minutes on, so I feel bad about this. Yeah, I couldn't see 7 minutes.
Bill, I said. You guys see the referee do that?
Sorry?
Do you seriously think a ref would do that then?
Yeah.
You can't prove it, but
no.
They are only human, or at least that's the rumor.
The only thing about the game that really frustrates me is that we didn't really create many clear-cut chances again. And in my opinion, if we would have got an earlier goal, a goal in the first half, or a goal earlier on in the second half, I think we would have walked through them quite easily, personally, because the atmosphere, Neil, once we conceded from their home fans just dropped their heads straight away, and there was like a strange atmosphere in the ground where you could tell that they knew they lost. It was very strange. Like they knew they couldn't create any chances against us. It was very, very strange. Like they weren't trying to cheer on their players to try and get that game. It's like they sort of resigned to losing straight away as soon as we conceded. So I think it's a shame that we couldn't have got an earlier goal, really.
And I know it's partly down to injuries, and they suffered injuries during the match as well, didn't they? They had to bring off Karoma, they had to bring another player off at half time. But I thought their substitutions killed them a little bit. Like I said before, that Chay, what I thought was their best attacking player, and that the left wing back Ruskins was getting forwards really well. More, I admit, more in the first half than the seconds. But when they took both of them off, I must admit, I was thinking, oh, I'm glad to see the back of those two. And they didn't really get the momentum going after that. So in trying to change it up, I think they actually made matters worse for them. Tragic.
Yeah. Well, and it's moments like this, like the 3 points on Tuesday, which could make or break our season, could be the difference between automatic and playoffs. Tuesday was a huge result against such a big side, even though it was scrappy and it wasn't pretty and it wasn't our best performance this season. Neil, that could be, the start of another run. Especially, we've got Rotherham, and then we've got Red, and then we do have Wycombe, where we could be really pushing for that automatic slot now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's a massive 3 points. Might not been the best of games, but when you come away from someone like Huddersfield, who were in the Championship last year, with score a fluky goal, whatever, we still scored. We still counted as a goal. Come away from there 3 points. That could be the turning point, as you say, for this season. It's 4 now away wins on the trot, which I haven't looked when the last time we did that, but that's another significant step for us.
5.
As you say, we've got pardon?
5 in all competitions.
Yeah, sorry, but 4 in the league, sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
And as you say, we've got Rotherham on Saturday. In an ideal world, that should be another 3 points, Mark, shouldn't it? But the way we're playing at home at the moment, although we did keep a great clean sheet last Saturday against Bolton, and we know what Bolton did to Birmingham on Tuesday when they went a goal down to Birmingham, they came back and beat 3-1. And then we had another clean sheet on Tuesday. So, we're getting hopefully back to the team we were, where we weren't conceding many goals. Hopefully that will be the case on Saturday, Mark.
Well, yeah, don't put words in my mouth saying that there should be a win on Saturday, mate. The only person who ever gets to put words in my mouth was my mum with alphabetti spaghetti when I was very young or feeling really lazy. But yeah, I was really happy with it. And I think all Wrexham fans, because one of the things all Wrexham fans say, probably all football fans say, oh, when teams doing badly, we're the ones that play them back into form. Well, we've just played 2 good teams in horrible form away, Mansfield and Huddersfield, 2 places that we don't tend to win at, and we've won there at both of them. Not the prettiest wins, but I tell you what, all 3 points are pretty as far as I'm concerned. I believe that wins are our future.
Going on to Rotherham on Saturday then, with Dobson coming off injured, I don't know what the updates that are. Is there anyone you would change, or anything you guys would change come Saturday? We've got to start creating more chances at home. We've got to get more goals. If we get an early goal Saturday and get the fans really behind them, is there anything, Neil, that you would change? Not being too, can't be too critical of the lads, but is there anything you'd change?
Well, if Dobson's got a niggle and not 100% fit, I'm sure he won't play in the full game, and he may start with George Evans in midfield. I don't know. I really don't know, Chay. Mark would more like have a better idea on that, wouldn't you, Mark?
Would I? Well, Dobson was on crutches at the end of the game, so that looked very worrying.
Right.
Let's hope it was precautionary. But I'm going to make the assumption he's not going to be fit on Saturday. And then, well, your options. Luckily, Elliot Lee has come back in, of course. As you say, Evans, who, he looked shattered by the end of the Peterborough game, and we had to bring him off because, he's not played much football. So if he's got the legs, maybe that's a good option. the other thought in my mind is that with Revan playing the way that he is, maybe McLean's going to make an impact in the centre of midfield at the end of the season for us. It could be that that's how we use him, which we have done in the past, haven't we? Lee is the obvious creative choice out of those, but I think apart from replacing Dobson because of his injury, I think Dobson's played really well last 2 games, 3 games in that right-sided position. So that's a shame. But beyond that, I don't see much need to change unless it's just with an eye to having 2 distant games, Tuesday and Saturday, coming up and maybe wanting to freshen up in what, on paper, I will concede, is the easiest of the 3. Although, of course, in practice, they won it midweek, didn't they, Rotherham? So, I don't know. I got to say as well, I thought that...
Ashfield on the bench.
So, yeah?
Get Ashfield on the bench. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Ashfield's in midfield. Well, maybe that's a bit premature to say that, but
get him on the bench.
Yeah.
You know, as a bit of a wild card, if we are, say, a goal down or looking to win the game, why not? Why not try these things? He's obviously shown enough quality.
Absolutely. The other thing that struck me from the last 2 games, I thought Rodriguez played well in both games, and there was more combination play with Smith. I think they've always looked good, but they're both coming in at the same time, fresh to the club, and are getting used to it. But I really liked Rodriguez again in both those matches, not only because he's technical and he's a good player, obviously, but also because he was winning most of his headers against those centre-backs. I really was impressed with him.
I think we've got to give Rodriguez a bit of time because a lot of people have been critical of him. But in all fairness, I don't think in any for a long time he hasn't played at this level, has he? In all fairness, he's getting used to playing regularly. I don't think he was starting much for Burnley this season, so he's getting match fit, getting used to playing in a different system, in a different side. If he sparks the form that we know that he can, that shot against Huddersfield was an absolute cannon. We give him chances on goal. We've got to create more chances for our strikers. That's the big thing. It's all well and good saying he's not doing much, but we've got to feed him to give him the chance. And when he's been unlucky, I think he played really well against Huddersfield in all fairness, and Bolton. You are right, Mark. I think we need to be a little bit more patient, give him some time to really bed himself in.
I think you can see his quality. In the Mansfield game, the headline is you missed that chance. The thing people don't mention him much, he played a couple of absolute worldy passes in the second half, just pinging the ball, the width of the pitch first time without seeming to have looked up to see where people are. And you think, geesh, he's got a lot of quality about him, and he works hard. There was one of the chances we made in the second half started off with him tracking a runner and ended up deeper than our midfield and winning the ball back on the edge of our area. And I was looking at it and thinking, who's that? Because I just didn't expect it to be Rodriguez. And I was thinking, who's number 6? Oh, yeah. It's our centre forward who's made a run back into our own penalty area to get to clear up the danger. Well done, lads. No, I'm excited about him and Smith. And I know, people will say 1 goal between them. Yeah, but Smith's a proper centre forward, isn't he? Wouldn't want to be a centre back against him. He's really, you put in a good shift when you went up against him, don't you? I mean, after the miracle of Swansea and us getting into the second phase, what a start, beating TNS 3-1. And just like when we beat them 1-0, 3 weeks ago, goodness me, they looks like a good team. They played well, but we deserved to win. And it's just the form we're in now. It's just fabulous. There's such self-belief now. I'm not going to be daft by saying we're now going to go down to Cardiff on Sunday and teach them a lesson they ain't never going to forget. But we are in the mood to go down there and put on a show, or at least have a go at them, because the way we're playing at the moment is fantastic.
Go down there and avoid losing, and you're looking at a really good result, aren't you? In all fairness, but you've got to say the turnaround from the Cardiff Met game it is, and I'm not saying the Cardiff Met game was particularly bad, but to not get a result down there, I kind of felt like we really chucked the whole season down the drain at that point, and I think it says a lot to the character of the staff and the players themselves to really turn the season around and beat TNS, beat Swansea, beat him in the cup. You've got to give this whole squad a lot of credit. It's really impressive. And
not least because Liv Fuller, like I said, picked up what has turned out to be a very nasty injury, ACL and MCL, in the first Swansea game. Lily Jones carrying injuries, couldn't start on Sunday. She came off the bench for the last 20. And so, as I've said previously, I feel that since the break, those two and Brooke Cairns have been outstanding in midfield. I haven't seen any midfield anywhere near as good as them in that division. And suddenly we've lost two of them against TNS, who are very good on the ball. And it didn't matter, because Nat Clark stepped up from the back. She can play either position. She was just, it was like watching Mascherano, Makalele. It was just her reading of the game, and the interceptions and then the good use of the ball was superb. Mary Gibbard came in and she did a similar job. She is, she can play the defensive midfielder, she can play attacking midfielder, and she did the defensive role superbly, really disciplined. And then Brooke Cairns, I think anyone who's heard anything I've said or written about the women's team know that I got a lot of time for Brooke Cairns, and she's been excellent all season. But on Sunday, there was also a real sense of, my two mates aren't here now, so I need to really run this team. And she stepped up even more. I thought she was really snapping in tackles, creating stuff. And there were lots of other great performances. But that midfield three, with two of our regulars missing, just showed that, although it hasn't got a big squad, but it's got a lot of quality about it. And they did ever so well. It was tremendous to watch.
Yeah, Mark, I just can't believe their mentality, from the situation they were after the Cardiff Met game, then have to go on and win the 3 games, including Swansea, which is superb. Just to get them into that, top 4 position was superb. And I just think they've got that winning mentality now. And again, against TNS, TNS have been a great team. They've beat the top teams, they're a really good team. But I thought Wrexham on Sunday, from the highlights I've watched, made them just look average. And again, we played some excellent football, and it goes back to the Wrexham, the men's team, when they've got that winning mentality, they can beat anybody on their day. And I think the women's team are doing exactly the same. And it won't be an easy game down in Cardiff, because are they the top of the league at the moment, Mark?
Yeah, and they're going to win it. But having said that, we're 2 points behind TNS and 4 behind Britain Ferry now. We could tilt for second place very definitely.
Yeah, so go to Cardiff and maybe get a result. Just show them that we're not a pushover. We are a good quality team, and I'm sure that the women will be going there with that kind of attitude, that to try and come away there with some kind of result, and I'm sure they will.
The way I look at it, if I'm honest, Neil, is that you hit the nail on the head talking about their mentality, and if it doesn't go our way, it won't knock them back. Because when it was going wrong in the first part of the season, I think in some ways it was the problem was something which could really do your head in, that we were doing the right things and playing well, but it wasn't working. We'd put in good performances and lose. And I think in some ways that's more frustrating. You play badly, you think, okay, let's change things. But instead it was that, it doesn't feel like we should change things, and yet the results aren't what we want. And I think to come through that, stick with it, stick with the coaching staff and achieve what they're now achieving, I think speaks extremely highly of their mentality and also of the preparation they're given by the coaching staff. I think it's been a superb all-round effort by everybody, and they're really reaping the rewards now. It's really impressive for me. Really impressive. I'm enjoying them.
And I
I'm
think
enjoying their games. They have for nothing.
it's a great time for them to really be hitting into form now as well with the cup games. But in my humble opinion, it's also a great time for if we can finish the season second or third. It's very similar, if not better, than last season. Which, if if you'd have looked at the end of last season, if you'd looked at after the Cardiff Met game, you wouldn't have thought this would have happened at all.
Yeah.
Because that Cardiff Met game, that was a tough one to see. That was, in all fairness, looking back, that was maybe I did actually think that maybe we just don't have enough this season. But if we carry on with this great momentum, you got to be looking at next season then, and hopefully bring in some new talent as well, and really start trying to push Cardiff. That's the big one now. We've beat Swansea. It's now time to challenge the big dogs in Cardiff, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's funny, isn't it? Because we've been talking before Christmas about what will represent progress for the team. We've had 3 years genuine progress. Nearly getting promoted, and then hitting the top division and doing brilliantly. And you sort of think, okay, is this season where it all goes backwards a bit? And now, if I'm honest with you, the way I look at it, we already have made progress. I mean, obviously, I want us to kick on and finish the season superbly, but I would argue we've already achieved something because we've got into the top half of it again, and we've done it in the most heroic manner, the most sensational manner. We've got results with our backs against the wall. We've beaten Swansea now, one of the big two. We've beaten them twice. In the two most satisfying ways you can beat a team you're desperate to beat: A, thrashing them, and then B, getting a jammy 90-minute goal out of nowhere and then hanging on in a long period of added time. Those are the two best wins, aren't they? So, it's superb. It's superb. I don't want the season to end.
I do kind of think they'll Cardiff are that step above, though, aren't they?
I think so. Yeah. Oh yeah, Swansea come fifth, haven't they? They've come
and you've got to give
on its own to Barry. So they're not
Cardiff a lot of credit because they are well and truly ahead, aren't they? And if we can finally get a result against them, then I think the belief will be installed in the next season. Yes, we can beat Cardiff. We can maybe get a win in the draw against Cardiff, and we can push for the title. And that is a big ask. That is a huge ask. But if we can start really challenging Cardiff, why not? Why not try and go for the title next season for sure?
And when, as I said before, we haven't been able to buy in players like the men's team has. It's all been about good coaching, good progress, and you can see it. And to be able to achieve it that way would be astonishing. But it's great. And like I said, I just think we have made a step forward this season, no matter what happens now. We've beaten one of those teams. We're not scared of Swansea anymore, and we know that we can do that. And if we keep playing like this, maybe a couple more judicious additions in the summer, and it should be fun next season.
And I think the high we finish in the league, if we can get results against Cardiff and maybe get a couple of results against we play TNS again. I'm assuming we'll away as well. If we grab some points and maybe finish second or third, it'll be a good advert to any of the women out there looking for a club and to bring fresh players into the club. And we've got to remember that we've got the semi-final of the cup as well against Pontypridd.
Yeah.
Coming up soon as well, so they could be in a cup final as well, Mark. So I totally agree with you. We've achieved more than we did last season.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, last season we're getting the top half and losing the Welsh Cup final. We're now in the top half. We've beaten Swansea. We've done something heroic, and we got a chance to get into the final again and have another go. So Happy days. Hats off to the team and the coaching staff, I say.
Yeah, their character is really impressive because, let's be fair, I think the majority of fans writ them off a few times this season.
Yeah,
and that must be hard. There's a lot. If you're, it's not just Wrexham in this league, but if you're Swansea, Cardiff, or Wrexham, you've got a big target on your back. Everyone else wants to beat you. Swansea really want to beat you. Cardiff really want to beat you. We all want to beat each other. But for them to turn it around, I think really deserves a hell of a lot of credit. And let's hope it really plays out and we carry on with this momentum.
Yeah, exactly so. Well, I reckon that's the positive notes we should finish this on, isn't it? Excellent stuff. Let's
I think Mark,
again?
You saw the potential in the team early in the season, although, and you kept saying, they were playing some fantastic football, but just results weren't going their way. So I think you've been watching them all season to see them, the fruits of their labour, can I say, and they're winning their games now. For you, it must be fantastic to watch, and you've experienced it all the way through the season.
It's been a journey and it's been brilliant. Honestly, I've really, really, really enjoyed it. I'm very lucky. I support two teams, both for Wrexham, and they both give me plenty. I tell you. But yeah, it's been so gratifying, Neil, to watch the progress and also to experience one of those rare occasions where it turns out I was right. Because I can't deny. Throughout 2024, I was sticking to my guns and believed it. And I was thinking, everyone's very polite to me. But I was thinking, everyone must be thinking, he's talking rubbish here. But it turned out for once, I was right. They were a good team. And they've clicked now. And wow, it's great. It's brilliant to watch. It really is fun. Happy days.
Yeah, right. I'm sure they'll have a safe trip to the team on Sunday, Mark.
Oh, I'll be driving down there, don't you worry. I'll be sightseeing. I might do a nice Wrexham trek. Going to do a few Wrexham treks in the next week. There, Wickham, Reading. I'm gonna get me air miles.
Right down to the Brecon Beacons. That's a nice journey for you, Mark.
Yeah. Britain Ferry game, I drove through them, and all the beautiful scenery, the majestic mountains, the sweeping valleys, all completely covered in fog. Couldn't see a thing. It was great.
The downside is you have to go through, it's bypass Merth for now, but it's a beautiful journey down.
Yeah, that's it. I think I saw werewolves as well, so I'm going to keep an eye out for them on the way back. So it's good to see a few, just dotting around Welsh wildlife.
We need a proper Wrexham track for the next three games, three away games, man. Yeah,
fair enough.
Definitely.
I'll get my binoculars, me Michael Palin diaries, and I'll be ready. I can go to Cardiff. I've had me jabs. Right, let's wrap it up, guys. It's been a pleasure as always. Let's hope we can do a good job at the weekend.
Up the Reds.
It's been a pleasure, guys.
Nice one. Thanks, guys. And that was Final Whistle Weekly.